Recycling is quite a bit different than damaged defective batteries. So when you are shipping something for the end of life recycling, you're getting something, a known good, out of the hands of a consumer or a business, and you are sending it off for end of life. And the regulations for that do change a little bit, but you could still have a damaged defective battery that could have a thermal event. So again, you're not required to have a full thermal runaway container. You can still bulk recycle that in wood crates if you would like to. But if you know it's going to a redwood or somewhere else, and you don't want to have your name in the newspapers or have a thermal event on the back of a semi, a lot of people do opt to purchasing something, an asset like an Americase that has that extra layer of protection, even though it's not needed, for the end of life as well. So although it's not pressed upon you, and it is less dangerous if you've already had it in your facility, it hasn't gone to thermal runaway, you've already gotten it out of the hands of the consumers or the business itself, and there's no reason to think that there's a dangerous evolution of heat, you can then choose which way you want to transport it. But again, just like with damaged, defective, and recalled, if you have a high-risk battery, it probably behooves you to work with someone like Americase to give you a container that can deal with the brunts of that thermal runaway if you would have one, even at the end of life, towards recycling. One of the good things with working with Americase is that we are custom container manufacturers. So there are considerations that a lot of people don't think about. I went over before how you're designing the container for its ease of use at a facility, but it could be as simple as how is the battery manufactured itself? So there are many skateboard batteries that go in cars that are completely flat on the bottom. And if you're going to be incorporating your battery into our case, we want to make sure that we're a proper envelope that's going to transport it safely. There have been many times where if you would have bought just a generic container from us with a flat bottom, it wouldn't work good for you because some batteries have hoist locations underneath the battery itself that actually have to be free from touching the bottom because they're lifted off the ground. And that's how you hook your system on to be able to lift it onto my container, off my container, or even put it in or out of a car. And if those hoist locations are at the bottom, obviously you need to have access to it. So some people need to understand that we might have to have standoffs on our containers or runners across the base of the container that keeps the battery lifted off the ground, but then we can still secure it. So that's a concern that you might need to look at. We have other people that, even though it's not very good for thermal runaway, they own a fleet of our cases, and they can't have their people going outside and wondering, does that one have a full battery in it, or is that one empty? Which one is it? So we can put viewing windows in the side of the container so you can understand better about what's in there. We can also help you work with SOPs. Some people might want to incorporate an ESD bag around their battery, or oil mats to deal with the absorbance of the electrolyte, or even in some cases, people want, even though our case is designed to deal with the full thermal runaway, they want to add a fire blanket to the outside of it just to put an extra barrier of thermal protection. So these are all things that need to be considered and evaluated when you're designing a container with somebody at Americase, so we can understand exactly what your needs are and make sure that we check all the boxes.